On a dark night in 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing, a routine journey for hundreds of flights before it. But what started as an ordinary takeoff would soon unravel into one of aviation's greatest mysteries. Ghost signals, vanished radar pings, and conflicting data left investigators with little to grasp what happened in those final hours as the world watched in horror. This is the story of Flight 370, a story filled with secrets, speculations, and a search spanning oceans. But can we finally uncover the truth? Let's go back to the night of March 8, 2014. The Boeing 777-200ER, carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew members, departs from Kuala Lumpur International Airport, bound for Beijing. It's early morning, and the mood is quiet. Passengers are settling in, some already asleep, while others gaze out the window at the twinkling airport lights. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah and First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid run through their final checks before the aircraft lifts smoothly into the night sky. It was a flight that Captain Zahari had taken many times before, an ordinary route from Malaysia to China. But this time, the journey would go wrong. By 1:01 a.m., the aircraft reaches its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. The fasten seatbelt sign turns off, and the cabin crew begins their service, offering drinks and snacks. In the cockpit, the pilots confirm their position with Malaysian air traffic control. The plane is preparing to enter Vietnamese airspace. Everything seems routine, yet it's precisely at this moment, with everything running smoothly, that something strange happens. At 1:07 a.m., Flight 370's communication system, known as ACARS, transmits its last message to air traffic control, providing key data about the plane. After this, silence. ACARS is abruptly switched off, cutting off essential data that would later be crucial for investigators. But at this moment, no one notices. In the cockpit, either Captain Zahari or First Officer Farik makes one last call to Malaysian air traffic control, calmly saying, "Good night." It's a routine handoff as the plane prepares to enter Vietnamese airspace. But within minutes, the plane's transponder, the device that identifies the aircraft on radar, also goes silent. Just like that, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is lost. To those tracking the plane on radar, it simply vanishes, leaving behind only a fading blip in the vast night sky. As dawn approaches, air traffic controllers in Malaysia and Vietnam scramble to make contact with Flight 370. They call repeatedly, but there's no answer. At first, they assume it's a technical glitch, but when the hours pass with no word from the aircraft, panic starts to set in. Authorities realize they've lost track of a massive commercial jetliner. Meanwhile, radar stations across Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia detect an unidentified object, a mysterious blip on their screens that makes erratic movements before vanishing again. The radar shows the blip first heading west, away from its intended flight path, then curving back toward the Malaysian peninsula. Military radar operators track the unknown aircraft, but without the transponder, they have no idea it's actually Flight 370. The blip makes a sharp U-turn, heads over the Strait of Malacca, and finally flies out into the Indian Ocean, leaving radar screens and the world behind. It isn't until 6:30 a.m., nearly 5 hours after takeoff, that the flight fails to arrive in Beijing. By this time, families waiting for their loved ones are overcome with worry, their patience turning to fear. Malaysia Airlines released a brief statement. Flight 370 is missing. International authorities join in the search effort. Ships and planes sweep over the South China Sea, where the plane was last detected. But with no solid leads, the search expands to other regions, including the Indian Ocean. Days turn into weeks, and the search zones expand from mere hundreds to thousands of square miles. In those initial days, news outlets worldwide covered every lead and theory, from hijackings to mechanical failures, as experts and families wait in anguish. Yet, not a single piece of debris is found. No seats, no personal items, no fuselage, nothing to suggest the Boeing 777's fate. As days turn to weeks, a breakthrough finally comes in the form of satellite data. Investigators reveal that a satellite picked up hourly handshakes, attempts by the aircraft to connect with a satellite network long after it vanished from radar. These handshakes provide only a vague sense of direction, showing that the plane continued to fly for hours, possibly south toward a remote part of the Indian Ocean. With this data, search efforts shift dramatically. A new, enormous search zone in the southern Indian Ocean becomes the focal point. Yet, despite state-of-the-art equipment and underwater searches, no wreckage is found. The ocean is vast and unforgiving, and investigators struggle to pin down a precise location. After months of fruitless searching, hope finally stirs in July 2015 when a piece of debris washes up on the shores of Réunion Island, a remote French territory. Experts identify it as part of a Boeing 777 flaperon, confirming it as a piece of Flight 370. This discovery, thousands of miles from the original search area, sends shockwaves through the aviation world. It suggests the plane did indeed crash into the Indian Ocean. In the months that follow, additional pieces of debris are found scattered along coastlines in Madagascar, Tanzania, and Mozambique. While the discovery of debris offers some clues, it raises even more questions. Analysis shows damage that suggests a high-speed impact, ruling out a controlled descent. Yet, how and why the plane veered so far off course remains a mystery. Investigators struggle to reconstruct the events that led the plane into the Indian Ocean, but there is still no clear answer as to what happened in those crucial final hours. Over time, investigators piece together several theories, some plausible and others controversial. One of the most compelling theories suggests that Captain Zahari, a seasoned pilot with over 18,000 hours of flight experience, could have intentionally taken the plane off course. In this theory, Zahari disables the communication systems, depressurizes the cabin to incapacitate the passengers and crew, and flies the plane toward the Indian Ocean. But the question remains, why? There's no solid evidence linking Zahari to such an act. His friends and family maintain he was a dedicated professional, with no history of mental illness or suicidal thoughts. Still, some point to Zahari's flight simulator, where he allegedly practiced routes into the Indian Ocean. Was this a grim rehearsal, or just a coincidence? Another theory involves a hijacking scenario. Could a rogue passenger have managed to break into the cockpit and take control? Given modern security measures, this seems unlikely, yet many continue to speculate, pointing to the two passengers who boarded with stolen passports. However, authorities later determined they were asylum seekers, not terrorists. One of the more unconventional theories suggests that Flight 370's disappearance was no accident, but a covert mission of misdirection. At the time of the disappearance, global attention was focused on Russia's annexation of Crimea. Some believe the incident was orchestrated by foreign agents to distract the world from Russia's actions. This theory posits that the plane may have been flown to a remote location, or even hijacked with military precision. But without further evidence, these remain in the realm of speculation. Nearly a decade later, the disappearance of Flight 370 stands as a haunting reminder of the unknowns in our modern world. For the families of the 239 passengers, the lack of answers is an open wound. Despite multiple search efforts, no complete wreckage has been found, leaving the fate of Flight 370 a painful mystery. So, what truly happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight 370? While theories abound, no one knows for certain. The vast Indian Ocean may hold the answers, or perhaps the truth will remain forever hidden in the depths. What we do know is that aviation experts and dedicated researchers continue to seek answers, determined to bring closure to this tragedy. Until then, Flight 370 remains one of the most chilling mysteries in aviation history.